So here are some of the observations. Court decisions only bind the parties to a lawsuit. That seems kind of elementary, but we have to remember that. There may be a lawsuit between me and person X, and what has happened between me and person X may be very similar to what has happened, almost maybe identical, between me and you. But the lawsuit between me and X does not have any binding effect on you. You weren't the party. That's very important, and we'll explain why in a moment. Court decisions may be precedent, but they only bind as the particular issue before the court. So let me go back to my example where I'm suing person X over a contract issue. I have the exact same contract with you. Let's say it's a recording contract. I always wanted to be a singer, a musician. And so I have a recording contract, and I win in this lawsuit. You're sitting over here saying, gosh, if David sues me, I will probably lose because this case will be precedent for my case. But until I actually sue you, until the court actually says, yes, this is exactly the same thing, we don't really know what will happen over there. Now, why that is important is oftentimes the Supreme Court will rule on something, and everybody will say, well, that's just like our law. So we're just going to do what the court says. When theoretically, you could always say, well, I know my law is exactly like their law, but I'm going to make them sue me. I'm going to make them prove their case. I'm going to make them win against me. Now, often you don't do that because you wind up paying attorney's fees for yourself and attorney's fees for the other side, and you're going to lose. But theoretically, you can do that. When the Supreme Court in Obergefell ruled on the laws of 4 states, only those 4 states were affected by that judgment. Every other state's law is valid until somebody sues them and actually strikes it down, or until their legislature decides to change the law anyway. But that's important to understand. And the only case in Tennessee that was in front of the Supreme Court last summer was the case of Tanco v. Haslam. There were 4 cases, one from Tennessee, Ohio, Michigan, and Kentucky. We're all in the 6th Circuit. Our case was called Tanco v. Haslam. They were all decided under the name of the case, Obergefell v. Hodges, which was a case in Ohio. But each of those cases involved different laws, and so decided different questions for each state. So let's take a look. The only laws challenged in Tanco were laws regarding out-of-state marriages. So the only law that Tennessee has been sued over, the only law that we would say legally and constitutionally has been adjudicated is our law dealing with people who live in another state, get married, and move here. That's the only law Tennessee has been a party to. That's the only decision that's been made with respect to Tennessee law. The question that was not decided in the Tanco case is what's the legal effect of that court decision on marriage license laws for in-state people, the 2 people who live down the street from you. That law was not challenged in Tanco. It was challenged in the Ohio case and in the Michigan case, but we're not Ohio and we're not Michigan. While what the court said about those laws would be precedent in a lawsuit against our laws, those laws in Tennessee have not yet been ruled on.